All right, all right. And so you're winning this week, aren't you?
So,
Are you winning this week in our league?
huh?
You winning this week in our league?
I don't know. Just messed up.
It just messed up just now. Hold on.
All right, 1 second.
Okay.
I should be able to. One more time.
Can you hear me?
Yes. All right.
All right. Perfect, perfect. So in this league, are you doing well?
Yes, I'm doing fairly well in our league just because injuries again have happened to work in my favor for once. The Justin Jefferson injury and him not coming back from injury reserve, Jordan Addison playing this game, that actually helped me out. He didn't have the greatest game, but things like that have been working out in my favor this season. What is it? Miami happened to wait for picking Tua, like I said in our previous episode, round 9. Riding that wave, the value carried over from getting a great quarterback in round 9 has just been carrying me this season. We even talked about it on our chat earlier this week, today actually, about trying to reduce the amount of positions we have in our league because we don't trade that much. But I was like, we don't trade that much if you aren't incentivized to trade because you had such a great draft. I think that's pretty much in any league if you happen to hit on some of your players in the draft. Luckily for me so far, this league, knock on wood, I'm still doing pretty well.
You think that's the reason we don't trade? Or we're just like super stubborn? And we don't like helping each other win. It feels like it's more of that than it is like not wanting to trade. We don't trade because we're just super like want to get over on each other so hard. I feel like.
I think we're more balanced than that. That is there, of course, because you want to win, but you understand you're not going to get anything without giving. I think the problem we don't have a lot of trades is we do have a lot of bench positions, and everyone knows pretty much what you're trying to sell. Like a future person that you're trying to give up, they likely have bad matchups in the future you're trying to avoid. And the people who should be incentivized to give more and receive more risk per se are people with worse records. If they aren't as motivated, then you aren't going to have as many trades for people who should be causing trades to happen because they should be incentivized to make a trade as their team is not winning. Unless you're in a situation where you're like, this person's suspended, they're going to come back and dominate. I got Alvin Kamara on my team. I got Taylor on the Colts. He's going to come back and dominate. I have anticipatory points that I see coming. Now, if you ain't got anticipatory points, you need to go ahead and put in some work and go ahead and incentivize some trades to happen. But you don't always see that. Luckily for me, I'm not in a position to have to incentivize, nor have I been incentivized to make a trade. So I'm still, and I'm at 7-3.
You haven't made a trade yet?
Huh?
You haven't made a trade yet?
If I did make it, I already forgot. No, I didn't. I haven't made a trade in our league. I don't think I've made a trade this season at all.
You mean in any league or just our league?
I haven't made a trade in another league, but the one I pay the most to. Huh?
Go ahead. I think there's like some weird feedback going on. But go ahead. I can hear you. You go ahead.
It was in our league. I have made a trade in another league. That was the league where I had lost Aaron Rodgers, as well as the backup.
Yeah, you've traded
Danny Dimes, Colts quarterback Richardson,
David
so I made a trade there.
75-yard running David Montgomery this week.
Yeah, him as well. Porter, Montgomery. It's crazy. I was so rich in tight end in that league that I had Laporta and I had Waller. I ended up trading Laporta and Montgomery to acquire the new quarterback who also came with Dallas Goedert. And right now, Dallas Goedert and Waller are an IR. With all those riches of tight end, I had to go ahead and pick up Hunter Henry.
Yeah.
Amazing. Another thing is, when we talk about tight end, I think
Oh, so hold on real quick. I have not actually introduced us or started the show. Sorry. So, hey, everyone. This is the fantasy football post game. My name is Toomey. I go by Fantasy Football Strategist on TikTok and other socials. This is Eric, AZZ TDs is his name there. And we're just here basically to talk about the games that happened today. Like we were just talking about, we're talking about our fantasy teams and stuff. If you guys have anything that you want to throw into the chat, let us know. We'll see it as it comes up, and we'll answer any questions you may have. But yeah, we're just two guys, two friends from back in the day, like just talking about football. talking about our fantasy leagues, talking about the bad beats, and we're going to be talking about like a ton of topics this week. But we're just going to keep talking about trades real quick. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, appreciate that. You know how we just dive right into it, informal. This is as if we weren't even recording this right now, how we'd be discussing this. So, as I was saying, I don't think we make a lot of trades in our league, going back to that, just because you have to be incentivized. Like right now, I'm going to be potentially most likely 7-3. So, I even have an explanation for why I lost some of the games I have lost. I've made changes there. And so, I'm okay to keep the team that I have. If you're struggling, then you should make a change. People can be stubborn, and it does say something about who you are, the way you do manage your fantasy football team. If you just don't like to let go of something that's clearly having no honest delivery for you in this current proposition. So you do need to make a change if you are struggling. However, I'm not struggling, but the people who are struggling, I think they believe in their team somehow turning it around. So then you have more of a stalemate kind of league where you have to make a lot of adjustments on the waiver wire. And the thing that also speaks to me in our league, at this point, you shouldn't really have that many waiver wire points. Because that many fab. Fab is what I'm trying to talk about. Because you should be investing in making your team better. I'm looking at mine. Tank Dell was somebody that I had picked up this year who's been performing very well. They talk about how he has a great relationship with C.J. Stroud. Of course, we'll talk about that offense a little bit later. But he was somebody that I had invested in early during the season because you don't know. So it makes sense to go ahead and invest that right then and there, because who knows what's going to turn out in the end. At the end of the later on, more than likely somebody did make that investment early on, and they're sitting somewhere on somebody's bench. And it makes sense, even if you have a very healthy team, like we said, to go out there and acquire as much as you can, because you don't want to let somebody you're playing to go ahead and fill in their position with that player just because they were out there thinking that nobody needed them. They could come back and hurt you. So always try to improve, like we've said before. That's something that you should always do.
The only thing is, though, the one thing I would say, so for those teams who are 7-3 now, 8-2, 9, there's nobody who's 10-0. But if you got a 10-0, 9-1 team, I still think you need to be heavily investing, though, and trying to make trades in particular, because that's where you get into the championship. That's really where you take that level up, that pro level move to make that next step. So thinking about there's certain players who I'm going to be putting out my buy low, sell highs during the week. And Derrick Henry really sucked this week. He really, really sucked. But when Derrick Henry, the next few weeks are so easy from a running standpoint on paper. They're really easy from a running standpoint. He just played really badly. But if you're one of those teams who can invest in a Derrick Henry and give up maybe somebody who played really above their head today, I think you should go and do it, because he plays the Houston Texans twice. Again, the Houston Texans, they're better defense than they've been traditionally, but they're honestly not amazing on the ground still. Derrick Henry's worst game out of his last 4 against Houston Texans was for 126 yards and a touchdown. That was his worst game. He gets quarterback numbers against the Texans, and he plays them twice in the next few weeks. So Derrick Henry is a go get him type of guy. And I think there's a lot of those guys. There's a lot of guys who've been underperforming or even the ones, especially the guys who are it probably was better a week or so ago, but getting the J.Gibbs, getting the Devon Achane, getting the Kyron Williams, getting those guys who are on IR, and especially targeting those teams who are 3-6 or whatever and lower, targeting them for those types of players, because they can't afford to just hold on to these assets who are not going to play for them. So I think, to me, especially if you have those winning records, if you're trying to make a run in the playoffs, attack those losing teams and attack those players who you have the risk profile to wait a little bit, even if you lost a game or so. You're okay if you invest in a J.Gibbs, and based on the way that J.Dobbs actually seems like he's able to sustain that offense, that may be a big, big, big pickup for you. So I definitely wouldn't just sit. I definitely wouldn't rest on your laurels. The thing is, though, in our league, nobody's going to trade anything for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, our league, everybody
We're
is
stubborn,
so knowledgeable. Bro. You really have to our league. It's
you're helping somebody else. You know what I mean?
Say what?
Say it again. Go ahead.
Our league, it's you gotta warm them up, you're trying to go ahead and start to court them a little bit. How you doing? I see you doing pretty well in your league so far. It looks like you could use a running back. Not just so happen to have a running back. You got to go ahead and butter up the conversation and lead into it and stuff, because everybody's they got that guard up. They know you want to go ahead and gain something from them. So everyone is always, you need to be coerced, if you more or less. Yeah,
you do for sure. All right, let's get into some of these topics, bro.
Do it.
Okay. All right. So I don't want to talk. Are there any players in particular who like really crushed it for you today?
Crushed it for me. I gotta
Mhm.
say, I was thinking while watching the game, Trey McBride, the tight end for the
Oh
Cardinals.
yeah.
Yo, the target amount and what he was doing in that offense, they went to him so consistently. And I dare say he is the next, he's one of those tight ends that we're gonna start talking about as one of the top 10 because he was brought in immediately. And if you throw out that terrible game with Keaton or whoever that quarterback was that they had last week for Murray, this
Clayton
man
too.
is knocking
Clayton
out the park.
Yeah.
He was my tight end today. And I said, my God, this might be the future for me. This McBride dude seems like it's home for him to be a pass catching tight end. And they actually have worked in a lot of routes for him. I think he was very heavily targeted. If you look up the numbers, I think they would suggest that he is a very strong part of that offense.
Yeah, and I think I think that they've, no matter who the quarterback is, they seem to integrate him into the offense. My concern, I honestly don't even know if is Ertz coming back or not. I think he is coming back at some point. He's not on season-ending IR. It always just worries me whenever he's in the mix because they always are going to give Ertz some targets. But that being said, he was there. He's a second or third round pick last year, Trey McBride. Not super athletic, but he was the best tight end, quote unquote, in the country last year. Like, he has the profile to do well. And again, not super athletic, but he's just a guy. He's going to get, he catch the ball. He's going to get a couple yards. Like, he's not going to break over in the 70-yarder, but they seem to love him. And this offense seems to be really centered around it. Cause I think the offensive coordinator came from Cleveland last year and they're always really tight end centric. I think Kyler's going to continue to get better. His connection with Marquise Brown just wasn't there today. That's going to improve. And I'm sure that Trey McBride's targets may not be as dominant as they were today, but I don't think like you said, I don't think he's going to go anywhere. Now, I don't think he's going to be he's not Dalton Kincaid, he's not Laporta to me, but he's definitely in the top 10 conversation on a weekly basis, especially with how tight end's been this year. It's honestly been a pretty decent year for tight end, especially streaming. And I think that he is one of the guys. I told people last week, even though I told people to start Trey McBride last week, that was a terrible call. But I was don't give up on Trey McBride because the targets are there and they just love him in this offense no matter who the quarterback is.
Exactly. And it was all the hype around Murray coming back and people who doubt Murray, but all the numbers that suggest that he's actually a very good fantasy quarterback. I'm well, those air yards have to go somewhere. Everybody knows Hollywood Brown has the more likely intent to be a lot better than he was without Murray playing. But I said they put so much emphasis on McBride, and you hit on his major weakness with Ertz. But Ertz was out, and Ertz being gone on IR, I was like, well, this is the time for him to shine. And last week, if you just throw that out, he has been good when he's been targeted. And I was like, let me just go ahead and give him a shot. In PPR, he's a must-have. He was 100%.
100%.
Yes, dominant.
Yeah. And I know, so he was really good. There was, Keaton Mitchell, I want to talk about him real quick.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I've been a big fan of Keaton Mitchell. It really started out so amazing, and then he didn't do anything else for the rest of the game, after a minute. But I will say, I was telling people no matter what, and we were even talking about in the group chat because my brother-in-law was giving me a hard time because I put in a decent amount of fab on Keaton Mitchell. Everyone, you see it though. You see the skill set, you see it with him. He's never going to be the goal line guy. So just that, you got to kind of get that out of your head. And that's the thing with the comparisons between him and Devon Achane. Achane is a central part of their goal line package. They make a lot of things happen just to get him the ball down there. Keaton Mitchell, I'd be interested to see what his snaps look like today, but it seems like he's going to continue to get more and more part of that offense because he did pop up on the injury report on Thursday, which you never want to see midweek with a hamstring issue. So I'm sure they were talking about literally the day before. Todd Monken said we're going to continue to get him more and more involved in the offense. Next day, injury to his hamstring. So I don't think he was 100% healthy, but just based on what he did against a really good run defense, Keaton Mitchell, if he is not picked up, you guys got to go get him. But honestly, in any league I'm in, he's picked up. So good luck.
There's no way he's not picked up because just doing the eye test, when the man turned the corner today and he did that super long run, you can tell that the defender had misjudged this man's speed because you can tell the angle he took. And when he turned him, when we leaving, God damn, he left him. Oh my goodness. That was some crazy breakaway speed. Trust me.
It's just
you want that man. That was
you call it the angle killers. He's an angle killer, like Achane, angle killer. The defender could take the perfect angle. It doesn't matter. Like I'm gone. Like Keaton Mitchell. But the thing about him, like, because again, I think Achane is better. I think that's not even a question. But like Keaton Mitchell's honestly not as far apart as people want to say, and he's also in a really good like offensive scheme. Like they scheme up their running game really well, and he has that jump cut ability to just dominate. Like I'm really liking it.
Oh, Baltimore's sick right now. Yeah, but if you were watching that game and you saw that run, there's no way you can walk away from that and say, that was a little bit of a fluke. No way.
Nah,
you can't fake speed like that. And you can see the defender. Literally, it's a great video because you can see a pro player misjudge the speed of someone he didn't know that much about and take that corner. This man, I think he only got one other carry after that half. But Baltimore might make adjustments with that because you just can't let that go to waste.
And I'm trying to find, like, there's on Twitter, like, the guys from Fantasy Football Today, Dave Richard, he always puts out, like, the snap shares. I'm trying to see if he has that out yet. All right, yeah, so in that game, Keaton Mitchell had 22% of the snaps. Honestly, that's higher from last week, but it's not much. Justice Hill, he got 26%. I feel like a lot of that his came late, but I have to check out the splits there. Gus Edwards had 54%, so it's not anything really new. I'd be interested there's no way to know, but it feels like he probably would have more snaps if he didn't get banged up this week. But again, he's still somebody to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you didn't pick him up, I would. Now the amount of fab you put on him, it makes sense.
Yep. So we got a question here. I'm assuming, let's just read it. So quarterback is Fields and Burrow. Running back is Pollard, Etienne, Kyron, Connor Hunt. Wide receiver is Keenan, Evans, Amari, Ridley, Devo. Kittle got all right. How? All right, Kittle and Goddard. All right, so trade away Burrow for Jacobs and trade Fields, Jacobs, Mike Evans for Josh Allen and Swift. That's real complex, Chandler. But the one thing I would say is you want to trade Burrow for Jacobs. I do not know
that trade will be able to take place following the acquisition of Jacobs.
You don't. This is all hypothetical.
Okay.
These are how the questions are usually phrased. It's always like I do this crazy jujitsu math. Yeah, so hypothetically, right?
Okay.
Burrow for Jacobs, if you can make that happen, that would make sense. I'm not gonna lie to you and say that I guarantee you Fields is gonna be better than Burrow rest of the season. I think it is kind of close, and I actually feel like just based on the rest of the season schedule, based on what they need to do, I wouldn't be surprised if Burrow is better. To me, this truly would be a split, Chandler, between 4-point and 6-point. If you're in a 4-point for passing touchdown league, Fields, you definitely keep him and do this type of trade jujitsu. If you're not in that type of league, Chandler, I would actually keep Burrow and then try to trade away Fields. But then you won't be able to trade Fields for Jacobs until he plays probably. But let's just say hypothetically, you want to do that. It's 6-point. Okay, yeah, I see. I guess the thing is, that's what makes it so much risky, like Eric was saying. Like, you can trade away. If in a 6-point you trade away Burrow, you got Fields. Fields, like, he has a throwing injury. Like, his thumb is the injured, probably like on his throwing hand. That is the concern. And so let's just say you trade away Burrow and you can't make that second trade. Now you're kind of left with a banged up throwing quarterback. Again, I actually think that Fields is going to start running a little bit more. It is a risky maneuver. It honestly, like, this is a big swing you're making. But I also, I feel like I'm not making sense. It's just I worry about the second half of this trade even going through or being that's really the concern I have is like the second half of the trade going through. Like, I'm struggling with that. And also, you are giving up a lot. Like, I like Josh Allen. He has not been throwing the same with that shoulder injury. Now, granted, he leads quarterbacks in like total touchdowns. So I understand, like, in fantasy, it kind of like makes sense. All right, so hold on. You got some more. So Jacobs' trade was sent to me and already agreed on the second dude on. Oh, well, if the both are in place, then go do it. Sorry. Oh. Like, I didn't know that. My bad, trailer. I was doing all that talking. So basically, let me put this one up so you can see Eric. He says, so the Jacobs trade was sent to me and already agreed with the second dude on the Allen deal. You were moving, Chandler. That's like Wall Street. Yeah. Go. I mean, do it then. Yeah. That makes sense. If you're getting Allen, you're getting the top quarterback, and I think he's going to continue to be good moving forward. Again, I'm worried about his shoulder injury, but he's still producing total touchdowns for you, which is what you really care for. So yeah, Chandler, I think that's a good deal. I need to be working like you. You've been like, he got like the spreadsheet going. He got the beautiful mind board going. Making a Wolf of Wall Street Chandler over here. Golly. All right, bro. All right. Oh, one person that actually did really well. I said he was going to do okay, and I didn't think he was going to do this well. Devon Singletary, 30 carries is wild. He got 30 carries.
He was out in there, all that good
He was
stuff.
out, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it don't matter no more.
Yeah,
I think this is his backfield now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That offense, boy.
Yeah, man.
I just feel that much worse for my man in Carolina. You know?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I really do. This is like, I actually feel bad for him because that's a terrible situation. They're honestly like really good friends in real life too. That's terrible. Yeah, they are very tight. They've been like going to like Elite 11s, and they've been close their entire life, like not their entire life, but like since high school. They've been really close together.
Previously. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
And so like your boy, that's like you, Eric, just dominating something off garbage. And then, like it's basically the same. It's like, bro, yo, Toomey's kind of trash at this fantasy talk, but why is Eric on ESPN and all this stuff? Like he's just dominating all this stuff. It's like it's really like that's tough, but it's also tough. The worst part about it is not just like you're worse than him, which you are. He's clearly the offensive rookie of the year, and now we're gonna start to have discussions about MVP like overall with him now. But the fact that they made all that trade to go get him is the worst thing in the world. Go ahead.
Yeah, we don't have the pick. That's why I like.
Yeah, that's the last part. That's the worst part.
Yeah. It crossed my mind. I was like, well, we probably wouldn't waste the pick that we would be able to have on another quarterback. They want to give him a chance. Get him a super powered weapon. The Harrison, clearly, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
My man out there. That's who I want. We don't have that option.
Mm-hmm.
This is like when you're playing the video game and you realize you traded all those assets and it didn't work out and you don't have the chance anymore. And you just hit the reset button. We literally did that in real life here. You have to make this work. Yeah. So it's a lot of pressure on him on top of this man being considered beyond offensive rookie of the year to MVP. He's being outstanding in your face. That's like the worst thing.
It's really bad. I just want to, because there's literally, you could count them. So 1, you just picked the wrong guy. That's the first thing. 2, the guy you didn't pick, not that he's going to be a Hall of Famer, but he's guaranteed to be good. We know this now. He is a guy. He's one of those he's one of those dudes. You know that. Like CJ Stroud is going to be a problem for the AFC and the NFL moving forward. Just set that aside.
They beat Joe Burrow today.
Yeah, they beat Joe Burrow today. Yeah. 3, like you gave up so much to get this guy who's you'll be lucky if he's the second best in this class now. And it doesn't look like it.
Looking like a Brooklyn.
You'd be very lucky. Yeah. And like you said, you gave up your pick, which could easily be the number 1 overall pick next year, to the Chicago Bears, and they're going to likely get Caleb Williams. And they don't even have to do the tanking. You guys are doing the tanking for them, and you lost to the Bears this Thursday. And now the Cardinals winning games. Like you guys are on you're beelining towards that number 1 overall pick that you won't have. Sorry, Eric.
Exactly. Yeah, I thought about it today, and I was like, that's the whole thing about it. I assumed for like the first half of the thought in my mind, I was like, who would be the best player for us to take? Should we restart at quarterback or go ahead and get the monster wide receiver? Then I was like, we don't have the option.
Yeah.
And my heart sank.
Yeah, my heart sank. It's tough, man.
Yeah.
That's honestly, of sports situations for fans, it's hard to craft a worse one. The only thing that would be worse about it is if Bryce Young was like a bad dude or something. And he was just like really, you know what I mean? Like if he's just kind of like a shitty person and he's like being rude to people. Yeah, at least he's like you could tell he's a nice kid. And so and honestly,
oh yeah, he comes from good stock. I'll give him that.
He's gonna do better. Like no one, I think it is stupid to write him off as a bust by himself. But like I said last week, he is a bust compared to Stroud, and I think there's no question about that. We could write that in ink.
Yeah.
But overall, he's gonna be better than this. I remember when everybody wrote off Tua. Clearly, that was stupid. Like I think over time he's gonna become good. Like he's gonna get there. So I'm a Colts fan, and I love Frank Reich as a person. I just think he's not it as a coach. And I think that was a mistake. I feel like I always feel like if a coach gets fired midseason, I'm not a person who thinks that they should just be hired the next season off rip. Like I feel like if you get fired midseason, that kind of says a little something about you. And I know some ownerships are crazy and all that, but like you get fired midseason, let's pump the brakes on you. Maybe you should take a year to chill out real quick. Like just to bring him right in as your head coach, no questions asked. When also, I mean, you guys had Steve Wilkes, who the team was really galvanized about. And I know Steve Wilkes is on. Well, Steve Wilkes had a great day today with San Francisco. But prior to the bye week, people were really calling for his head, but not today. Not with Chase Young and Nick Bosa. But y'all could have had that man just as your head coach. And honestly, y'all could have brought in whoever you wanted offensively to just basically run that half of the team, like every other team who has a defensive coach does.
Well, now that you mention it, I mean, it's just a string of poor decisions that it looks like they've made. You can't have a string of bad decisions. You can make a bad decision every now and then, but once you get a succession of poor decisions, that is a hole you got to stop digging. Stop making decisions.
Yep. Just stop making decisions.
Yeah, man.
All right. Oh, man. So one thing, I'm going to call myself out on this one. And this is the thing. It's I'm happy to be wrong about this one. Not that I thought the player was bad. I just thought truly when this guy comes back healthy, this other guy's role is going to disappear. I was telling people to sell high on Jahmyr Gibbs. Clearly that was stupid. That clearly that was dumb. Jahmyr Gibbs it almost looked like most of the goal line work. And it was then David Montgomery who had a 75-yard touchdown. So it was just backwards world today. But clearly Jahmyr Gibbs' role has changed. They do believe in Jahmyr Gibbs, and they're giving him the rock way more than I thought they were going to.
I can't say it's dumb. I would say the risk of the person who might have traded for Josh Gibbs, they got the benefit that his role changed. You don't know what the coach is going to do. Prior to that, he didn't have this role. But it's just that if you believe that what he put out there on tape, and in reality, when he got the opportunity, had justified him getting more touches, which made sense, then it was a good trade to go ahead and and try to acquire him. Or if you just, believe that he was already too good to keep, too good to let go, then you didn't want to even let him, you were difficult to sell in your mind anyway because you believed in the talent. So it made sense based on what he was doing beforehand. But now, keeping him, I mean, damn, you saw it. So.
Yeah, I know. So from a snap count standpoint, again, this comes from Dave Richard on Fantasy Football Today. So Gibbs had 58% of the snaps. He had 10 of 18 on third and fourth down, and he had 5 of the 9 snaps inside the 10. And so really, and that was something you didn't see that with Montgomery healthy.
That's a significant change. Yeah.
Big change. Montgomery had 38% of the snaps. So, and I get it. It's his first game back. So we don't want to take too much locked and loaded information from that. But it does tell you they clearly, they have had a slight mental shift of if we're inside of the 20 or even inside the 10, he's coming out Gibbs is off the field, put Monty in there. We're going to run it 4 times in a row. Gibbs, he's not big, but you don't have to be big to always be good at goal line. You have to have really good vision, and that's what Gibbs does. He has really good vision. He has an incredible acceleration to get into the hole, and especially if it's 1 yard away, he gets in the end zone.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely spot on.
All right, got a question from Prince here. Trade Kelsey and Ramondre for Etienne, Taysom Hill, and James Conner. No. That's a no from me, dog. What do you think about that, Eric?
They're probably really sold on Taysom Hill. And the injury to Carr leads you to believe that all the gadgetry that they do use of Taysom Hill in the red zone might continue. So this person is probably trying to acquire Etienne, who has done very well, thinking that they won't lose too much giving away trading Kelsey. And I'm thinking that the Taysom Hill X factor is going to work into their favor. It's a huge risk. I see why they're entertaining it. The James Connors to sweeten the deal, even with the loss of Ramondre and Kelsey and all that together. But that's a major risk. I mean, Taysom Hill's been here before. When people believed in his games.
The Kelsey is like it's tight end one, and that no matter how good tight end has been incredible this year, it's not that damn good to be like. I can't go from Kelsey's guaranteed 18 plus in PPR to Taysom Hill's 19-3.
Exactly.
22-0. Like, because Taysom Hill is a goal line back. And the only thing that concerns me, if Derek Carr is injured for a little bit, I actually think that Jameis Winston can make that offense like kind of cook a little bit. But the thing with Jameis is he's going to chuck it. And I don't even honestly know how many opportunities for like more of a methodical passer down the field versus like Derek Carr versus Jameis, who's probably going to get some bigger plays, probably going to get some picks. Maybe I would not be surprised. I honestly don't know if there's any correlation here, but I would not be surprised if there's less red zone opportunities for a Jameis Winston-led offense just because they're probably scoring from distance or not even getting down there because of a turnover. You know what I mean? Versus like it's kind of marching, march like a team like a Derek Carr who's going to try to march us down the field, get into the red zone. Taysom Hill comes in, gets one in the end zone real quick. I'd like to know also, like before I even said, like I'd love to know if Taysom Hill got any targets from Jameis this week too.
Okay.
I feel like Carr didn't go out of his way, but he did give Taysom a lot of targets. And I like James Conner. I think he's really solid. ETN had a down day today. I definitely think that you could definitely buy him low. But the thing with ETN is, and I was telling people to probably try to sell him high before this game just because he had 8 touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence had 9. You're never like for a person like Trevor Lawrence, and I get it, they ran into a buzzsaw today, but like the touchdown difference is going to be much different between a quarterback and their running back. ETN had 3 straight games of 2+ touchdowns. It's just the touchdown rate was going to fall off a cliff for ETN no matter what.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, he was balling like crazy. And the thing is, like, you're probably now going to start to see that touchdown regression where there may be a couple games he just doesn't score. And now you're in a really important part of your fantasy season. And again, Ramondre, not that he was like a world beater, but like, and I know Zeke had a lot of snaps, but let's see. He, like Ramondre dominated the snap share. He got 68% of the snaps versus the Colts today. He was 13 of 15 on 3rd and 4th down, so he's getting the passing down work. He got 20+ carries. Like Ramondre is not far away from James. No, Ramondre, I'd actually probably take Ramondre over James Conner the rest of the season. But Ramondre is going to probably tighten that gap, especially in PPR between him and ETN. And then it's really the Kelsey factor. Like Kelsey coming off of a bye, healthy, playing a Philly team, especially on Monday night next week, which we were going to talk about later. Like, I'm buying into Kelsey, man. I don't care if it's the Taylor Swift factor or whatever, man. Like, he is going to ball out moving forward. He is the clear-cut, undisputed #1 target. And if he starts getting going in fantasy, that is tight and one. Like, you honestly, to me, if you're trading Kelsey for this, you're kind of selling him at a really big discount. So, Prince, I'm not doing this trade at all. I'm keeping the guys I have. I think you're going to be in better shape keeping Kelsey, keeping Ramondre.
Yeah, I have to agree with that analysis. Kelsey, his consistency and the fact that you can place him, set him and forget it, that is something that you really – that's what you acquired him at a high pick for. Mm-hmm. You want to get guarantees in response for that. And I do see why you might think it's comfortable to lean on Taysom Hill, but it's just not consistent. You'll get 20, like Toomey said, and then 3. And that could knock you out of playoffs. So you want to lean on Kelsey, know that you have what you expect coming from that position, and go ahead and maintain with Ramondre. Because even if you are in PPR, Ramondre is super solid, even despite the fact that he's not always scoring like that, because he gets tons and tons of targets. I mean, if he has breakout games that he had last year and starts to turn it up a little bit, you're still in a good position. James Conner, like Toomey said, he's solid. But Ramondre, ETN, like you said, he was balling. You missed out on his pop potentially, but you're losing so much when you trade Travis Kelce. This is Kelce, who is the #1 tight end, a position that's weak, who's getting targets from the best quarterback in the league. That is just too strong for you. That's your sword. So
yeah, I feel you on that. All right. So I don't really want to talk about waiver guys. The guys who I'm highlighting guys on waivers right now, it just is early, but I've not been paying attention to this Jets game. So if there was some big injury, I missed it because it's so riveting.
I'll take a look. See?
Yeah, it's a 9-9. What a
It was
barn
what?
burner.
Oh,
9-9. Yeah, amazing. So real quick, some of the big waiver wire guys to me: J.Dobbs, who I want to talk about real quick. Keaton, Mitchell, Noah Brown. I think like I was saying in my live stream, and I go live, guys, Sundays before the game. So make sure you guys tune in on TikTok. I go live with playerprofile.com at 11 a.m. U.S. Eastern time, and I go live on my own site, Fantasy Football Strategist, at 12 o'clock, right? I was telling somebody because they were asking between Noah Brown, like Tyler Boyd, and I was like, Noah Brown, especially without Nico Collins there, it seems like C.J. Stroud is actually leaning on him as one of his main targets. I don't even think yet. I think Noah Brown's much older than C.J. Stroud to have that Ohio State connection because they both went there personally. But I mean, they're alums together, so they're probably connected that way. But Noah Brown is a receiver with decent speed. He's always going to be on the field because he goes hard blocking, really hard blocking. He's very strong, like we saw in that game winning or that game that reception that got them into field goal territory. He broke like a couple tackles and just ran through a couple of defenders. Like he's just a big, like 6'2", over 200-pound receiver. Like he's a good receiver. And so if Nico Collins misses more time, especially, or if Robert Woods misses time, which was really the kicker for me, like whenever Robert Woods was out, I was like, Noah Brown's going to be an automatic start for me just in PPR because he's a relied on target for C.J. Stroud. So if one or two of those receivers are out, Noah Brown is an automatic start. So I'm going to pick him up in waivers too.
Oh, to add a little bit more on that, I can't emphasize that more. I actually went up against Noah Brown today, and I'm the Tank Dell manager. So the funny thing about that is I think prior to Tank Dell's, explosion here on the scene, Noah Brown was ahead of him, right? And he went on IR. So Noah Brown came back into a position where he did practice as if he would be a starter. So he is a amazing person to go ahead and pick up on that team because he's expected to be a starter, practiced to be a starter, and C.J. Stroud is throwing that ball like the legend that he's becoming. So you want some exposure to that team, and if Noah Brown is out there, it makes all the sense in the world to go ahead and acquire him. He put up over 150 yards today, and Tank Dell still played well and had the touchdown. Tank Dell had the touchdown. He still produced less in PPR against Noah Brown. I know this because I went against Noah Brown as the Tank Dell manager.
So you're not salty.
I'm not, because I'm still up, but I was paying attention to that game and things like that. You notice it's like, my boy scored, what I'm saying? I got the best player. But then you notice like, damn, he is peppering this other man with targets out of the wazoo. Then you look at it, he has more points than your man that scored. I'm not mad, but I acknowledge it.
I feel you, bro. Oh man, this topic here, I'm skipping because I want to talk about these coaches, man. Billy. So I don't think they're gonna fire Bill Belichick on Monday.
Agreed.
But there were some rumors that if they lost to the Colts in Germany, that Bill Belichick would be fired. I'm a as you know, pretty diehard Colts fan. I've been there through the ups and downs, and I've been there through all the missed Super Bowls because of Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. The amount of joy I had to win that garbage game 10-6, where he decided to put in Bailey Zappi on the last possession, who also then threw interception on that stupid ass play where he did that fake spike and then he threw a pick. I was so gleeful. I was so happy, Eric. Like
that play looked like that wasn't what was called. It's like he wanted to do it in the moment, thinking that he was going to go ahead and take over the game, and it just was so anticlimactic. I was like, that was amazingly underwhelming. You just was like, nah, that's just not it.
And that the problem is, honestly, in a lot of situations, I wouldn't even mind. I've actually been in my entire life a big proponent of the fake spike take a shot play, because I think that it is so like people are just not paying attention. They're not paying attention. You get up to the line of scrimmage real quick. You don't do anything like really obvious signal. You just let people know obviously we're going to do a fake spike. Fake the spike, chuck it. Somebody may be open. You can make a play. The big issue they have is they have garbage players. You had Bailey Zappi trying to throw to, I don't even know who, Pop Douglas. I like Pop Douglas. He's solid. Come on now. Like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like, who are we talking about? Like,
who was the quarterback that did the fake spike well and maneuvered it so well? Who made that popular?
I thought it was either Dan Marino or
exactly.
Bill Belichick. It was Dan Marino,
Dan
right?
Marino.
He's
really damn good. So if you're gonna do something that he do, you gotta go, like, it's a requirement to have the talent. You feel me?
That's the problem. The problem, honestly, the coaching is the coaching, and he's a defensive coach, so I honestly don't expect Bill Belichick to be like drawing up offensive X's and O's. I expect you to hire better, and I expect you to not always hire like your boys that you already worked with before. But set that aside. With Bill O'Brien, honestly, he's not been as bad as people want to say. The personnel part is the thing that I've always had an issue with Bill Belichick. And he's gotten a pass on that for the longest time. Oh, did Mayer just catch that? All right. We got a touchdown. The Raiders game.
Okay.
But won finally. But like Bill Belichick, the general manager, is the one I've had the issue with for years. He's garbage. He's terrible. He's really bad at that. They always feel like they're being like, oh, we're super smarter than you. We're going to take a 3rd round pick in the 1st round, Cole Strange. And it's like, I get it. Cole Strange is a starter for you right now. Cole Strange has not been – there's no way that Cole Strange can be good enough to account for the lack of value you just placed on him. Or not, like the overvalue you put on him. You drafted this guy who everyone, like literally, like Sean McVay is laughing at you, say, hey, we had a 3rd round grade on that kid. Like, we were not going to take him for multiple rounds. And they do that all the time, especially like their 2nd and 3rd round picks. They're always taking people who have like 4th and 5th round grades.
Oh, I've seen names, for sure.
Like, that's just like, I can't absolve you of just the coaching mistakes when you are bringing in super subpar talent. Honestly, Mac Jones is not like, he didn't deserve to really be like a mid 1st round pick either. Clearly. I mean, it's easy to say that hindsight 2020. But like, even during the draft, it felt like, even in this bad class, this feels like we're kind of forcing it. The fact that no one wanted to make a move to go get this quarterback that you picked in the middle of the 1st round kind of tells you everything you need to know. Because you either, honestly, it seems in this world now, if you're going to get a quarterback, top 10 or above, or just get him in the 2nd round. That's what happened this last year. Go get the quarterback you want. That's the first 4 picks, 3 of them were quarterbacks. And then Will Levis went in the 2nd. You know what I mean? Like, just to get if you get, honestly, this is probably like a credo that I'm going to have now. If you take your quarterback in the middle of the 1st round and it doesn't end up being Lamar Jackson, who's the only one who got picked at the end of the 1st, I just think you may be a bust. Kenny Pickett, for instance. Like, if you're not going to get your quarterback, like if you're going to sit pat and get a quarterback that 15 teams just clearly don't think is a franchise quarterback, and you just like, everyone's agreed that this guy's not a franchise quarterback. You honestly could just take him in the next round. I get it. You're missing out on the 5th year option, and you just decide to take them because like you think they're good. You probably made an error in your evaluation.
Bill Belichick potentially could be at that point. It's very hard personally where you have to admit maybe it's me, you know?
Yep.
So the results speak for themselves. You know, what are they, 2-8 or something like right now?
Yes,
and
they
from
are.
a Patriots perspective,
it's so delicious. 2-8 Patriots.
Don't anticipate hearing that.
Oh shit!
And the way they're losing, I don't think they're going to fire him mid-season. I mean, he's done too much for that organization, but you know that they're entertaining. Maybe we need to go a different direction. You know how people start to have that come to their mind, and they start to bring that word of, you know, we could entertain, kick the tires, and all that kind of stuff. Conversations starting to take place, especially when you lose in the fashion that they are. And Mac Jones, like you said, to me as a fan just watching the game, he looked like somebody who knew he was ahead of his skis, you know? Like, you know, I'm just lucky, to be honest with you. I mean,
you think so?
Next dude, I hope you got it, my man, because boy, it ain't easy. You know?
He strikes me as somebody like even I think there was like a pop-up interception, or there was some play And the way that he just runs off the field almost like a petulant child. And I remember there was like a quote that came out from like somebody from his camp. So he didn't admit to it, but it was about like, I can't do everything. You know, it had that type of energy to it. Like, I just need better weapons. Like, bro, you chill out. Like, chill out, my boy, you're right amongst your peers right here. Y'all are all bad. Like, you are not like, oh, I'm just Tom Brady and I need my guy. It's like, no, you're bad too. You know?
You got to be able to just humble yourself and be like, hey, here are my weaknesses. For somebody who says something like that, they probably put not applicable under that. And that just doesn't apply to anyone in this world.
Yeah. Everyone's flawed, bro.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. And the other coach is Arthur Smith. So he lost. Yeah, that was something. Like he lost the Cardinals, who were a bad team, but now at least they got Kyler. I get it. That is one where I think that there could be some fantasy implications, and that is one where I actually think that there is a possibility that they let him go after this game.
Oh wow. Well,
this is not based on anything, though. Go ahead.
They lost Heineke, so they might say, okay, that's something that you can never predict. You were doing fairly well with Heineke, and let's just say that threw the team off. You were still in the game. I know Ritter came in there, he ran that touchdown, and he was also on the hot seat coming into this game because they weren't running Bijan and whatnot enough. So I think Bijan, he definitely scored. I know it was a red zone touch.
Yep.
So he's making the changes, but as they crater and start to fall by the wayside, as you saw against the Cardinals, he does look like a person because, I mean, even as you listen to other people talk about that team, they all dislike the way that he manages the team and the weapons that they have. They just think that they're constantly undershooting the potential, and that's probably one of the worst accusations you can have against you as a head coach.
Yes, man.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem is like the thing that's bad about it is they're 4-6 now, so they're number 3 in this bad division, right?
Mm.
This is such a winnable division, and the thing that like if I was the owner, if I was the GM, is like, you got the talent, so I need you to figure it out. Like, I'm sorry, I don't care what your scheme is. Like, Kyle Pitts needs to get 10 plus targets. London needs to get 10 plus targets. I really don't care if anyone else gets targets outside of Bijan. Like, Bijan gives me 5 plus targets a game. Like, that's just what needs to happen. I don't like this is the best talent. Get them the ball. Your offensive line, while they're underperforming this year, they're still generally a good offensive line. Like, get the guys the ball that are good. Like, you have a generational talent at tight end. That is a massive advantage for literally an average head coach or an average play caller. Like, I cannot express to you, Eric, how much Kyle Pitts wins on his routes, how amazing he is at getting open. Like, when you look at the underlying data, which really doesn't matter because he's literally not getting the ball, he wins all the time. He's easily winning. He beats corners all the time. He is a downfield. He's a field stretcher, like legitimate field stretcher down the field, streaking wide open, arm in the air, ball dribbles at his feet. Like, it's just like you got to figure out, or he doesn't get a target, which is really the biggest issue. Like, you have to forcibly get the ball into their hands like they do with Travis Kelce. Like, you literally need to use them that way where I'm giving you shovel passes, I'm giving you short slants, I'm giving you something to get the ball in your hand. So like a free throw shooter, I just need to see the ball go in the net. I need to just get the ball and get some yards so I get that confidence if I'm Kyle Pitts. Same thing with Drake London, who I feel like generally speaking, Drake London seems to do okay more so than like the other two do. Just because, I mean, he's a receiver. I mean, you got to throw the ball sometime. And Bijan, at least they showed a little bit of difference today. I'm sure the splits were a lot better for them. But honestly, let me not speak on. Let me find the split real quick. I can find it. Yeah, so Bijan got 77% of the snaps. He got 12 of 16 on third down and 4 or 5 inside the 10. Great. Do that every week. Every single time. That should not be a question. And honestly, even though, I mean, this seems hypocritical, I'm not going to give you praise for that. You should be doing that. That's not like, no, duh. Like, no, duh. Get Bijan the ball a lot. No, duh. Throw the ball to Kyle Pitts. No, duh. Throw the ball to Drake London. You didn't do the latter two. You gave the ball to Bijan, and I guess in this matchup, it made sense to do that. Like, but get the ball to those three. I don't care if Jonnu Smith never touches the ball the rest of the season. Scotty Miller scored a touchdown. If he's an open guy, I get it. Like, but get the ball to those three guys, and literally everyone else gets crumbs. And that's just not a fantasy thing. That's just like a good football thing. Like, they are better than most of the people they go up against.
True.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm saying whenever I see a coach do something like that, I guess, are they pushed because these guys might have things in their contracts where they're saying, my hands are kind of tied where I kind of got to get the ball because this is a veteran and it's kind of in his contract. He has to make a certain number of catches per season to meet his performance requirements and all. I don't know if that has some kind of implication, because as I try to get more into the industry, I'm like, why don't they seem to do what appears obvious to a spectator? So I try to give them the benefit of the doubt that maybe there's other forces that are behind closed doors that I can try to foresee maybe having some kind of impact on the decisions being made. Just to try to play devil's advocate to an extent.
You're a nicer person than me. So I clearly he's an NFL head coach. I'm literally a guy in my basement, literally. I'm not watching all the film. I'm not looking at who's open and who's not. I fully understand that. And I'm sitting literally from a couch view watching these games. But there are certain things that are obvious where your players are, based on all the underlying data and information about like average depth of target, stuff like that, they are available, they are winning, they are open, and these guys are good players. They've actually, all three of them have shown like they have elite potential if they were given the ball. And so to me, you will like, that's the thing. You'll get fired as a head coach for not utilizing these weapons, because these are all first round picks. And guess what? At some point, they're not going to be rookies on their rookie deals anymore. I think Kyle Pitts is the oldest of the three. Like, he only has 2 more years left on his rookie contract with the 5th-year option. You now, like, that's why it's really stupid, is because you need to maximize and see exactly what you have in him. Because like his rookie year, he had 1,000 yards. You need to see a lot more of that to make sure you want to invest more in him. But you literally have not given him the opportunity to even show it. So that's the biggest issue, is like, you don't, like, with these really big investments, that if I'm the owner, like blank, like, I don't know what I have still, because you're not getting them the ball.
But that's why, like, as a player, if I'm Kyle Pitts, I want to put my talent out there on the field so I can argue for more money later on. Kyle Pitts can't say, look, man, I was 8th pick, and when I was in college, I did this, that, and the 3rd, and I was 1,000 yards my first. But you guys, you got to put it out there so that you can have some ammunition to go ahead and garner more money, even from other teams, if you want to go ahead and do that. So I'm like, what is going on? Like, the only thing that comes to mind is, like, if you don't do what you're supposed to do at practice, you're not going to get no aim in the game. But that was on a high school level. They don't have to entertain that here in the NFL. So I'm like, why doesn't Kyle Pitts get peppered with a lot of targets if everyone who watches the game can see what he can do? I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah. Like, I mean, this Arthur Smith's, like, there's, again, like I said, there's clearly stuff that he sees that I don't see. I'm not breaking down film, yada, yada. Jonnu Smith is his boy from like Tennessee, too. Like, he's familiar with Jonnu, right?
I mean,
so
he does have like dirt on you. You got to be boys to go ahead and like.
But that's like, coaches do that all the time, where like they're comfortable. Like, I'm comfortable with Jonnu, even though he's on the page. We're gonna go get Jonnu Smith. I'm gonna bring him in, and for some reason, I'm gonna get him more work than Kyle Pitts. Like, those things happen all the time. But I do think that's, like, at the end of the day, coaches are people too. He's stubborn. You know what I mean? Like, he's a stubborn dude. He's like, sometimes that happens. Sometimes, like, no, my way is the best. Because the thing is with him, he's been getting into it with the local Atlanta media pretty often the last few weeks. And so he also just seems like the type of person who's like, well, you guys are saying this, I'm not going to do that. Like, it's just, I don't know. Sometimes it feels like he's just kind of like trolling a little bit.
That's so different. That really emphasizes that we on the outside looking in, that like a personal, I would more or less say, we gets in front of them making the best decisions that everyone else can see. That's the aspect of having a job that's so public, like the head coach, especially when you represent a team like that. Hot seat.
Hot seat. All right. Let's see. Anything you wanted to bring up? I was going to talk about like Dobbs. Who you guys think is like? Who do you think like the top teams are? You want to do that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, being a Panthers fan, I cannot get away from how well C.J. Stroud is playing and just the impact
Yeah.
that it probably has to the Panthers overall. I'm like,
sorry.
Everyone was saying Joe Burrow, it's the Bengals. They're probably going to lose this game. It's going to be a really good test. He came out and won the game.
Yeah,
he beat Burrow. He put up an amazing amount of yards. The man's decision-making capability is there, and he has the talent to execute what he's properly making the decisions on. Do you know what that says about that's what you want. And the fact that we don't have that in Carolina, and it's basically, as I just made it seem, we're not executing on anything. There's not really anything to take away to be like, man, that part of his game, we need to build more of that to the game plan because he really does this well. It's like no takeaways that I can find. And this dude is lighting the world on fire in Houston. And we literally could have picked C.J. Stroud. Like, I've never been the fan that had to look back and say, this pick cost us not getting Joe Montana or Jason Tatum or something like that. But now this might be my first walk into, I remember back in 2000 such and such during the pandemic when we came out and we got Bryce Young instead of the legend of Joe Montana and Patrick Mahomes combined C.J. Stroud. What the fuck? You feel me? It just makes you like that's what's on my mind.
I feel you because I remember I'm looking it up right now. So it's like there was all this drama before the draft. People basically saying like C.J. Stroud was stupid. Like he couldn't. He really failed the S2 test. And that test really talks about how well you process things and all that stuff. And Brock Purdy apparently got an amazing score, and he did terrible on the test. And he said, "I'm not a test taker. I just play football." Right? People thought that he was dumb, and then there were people like Brady Quinn. I remember he went on national TV and basically said there's some scouts talking they don't think that he's smart enough to process the game. It's just that was a thing. And honestly, there were some people who literally there was a long time C.J. Stroud was the number one overall in betting markets for the longest time. It was Bryce Young for most of the year. In the beginning of the offseason, Bryce Young. At some point, it really did switch completely to C.J. Stroud being the number one overall for a minute. And then about 2 weeks or so before the draft, when some of this more these stories started to come out, it really knocked him down. And I think that was a big reason why he was so emotional when he got drafted too, because people were dumping all over C.J. Stroud. And it just makes it look that much stupider right now. Because C.J. Stroud just from here on out just become a terrible player, sure. The likelihood of that is almost zero. He's going to be a locked and loaded top, at the very least top 10, possibly top 5 guy moving forward. I mean, this is his first year. We got to deal with this guy for 15 years now. He's one of those types of pocket passers who's going to probably have a long career because they're not running all over the place. He can process so well. He's he is way more mobile than people gave him credit for. Again, like I said it last week, his best tape was his game versus Georgia with the best defense in the nation in the the college football playoffs. Mm-hmm. He's playing like that every week now. He is playing like he's playing Georgia every week, where he is juking Jalen Carter, who's been amazing for the Eagles. He's doing that every week. And honestly, what's my guy, Lou Adaromo, the defensive coordinator for the Bengals, he's really good. He's a really good defensive coordinator. Really, really, really good defensive coordinator.
And it's not like they have a run game that he's leaning on. He's not handing it off to prime.
Today they did.
Peterson or something like that. Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
Just the game is going through him, and he's executing. That's literally a storybook of what you want from a top pick.
Yeah.
And just having the yin and yang of both right there and being on the wrong side. I can't stop thinking about it. And what makes it worse is you just feel bad for Bryce Young because it's just
you really do
every day probably being thrown in his face. Yeah, man, I saw the record. Yeah, I seen it. He's doing great. He's doing very well. We talked about it actually, so I'm aware.
Well, let's try our best to move off of CJ real quick.
Okay, gotcha.
In the top teams in the NFL right now, so I'm gonna name some teams. I'm not gonna number them. I'm gonna try to number them after this, and I want to hear what you think too. So we got the Eagles, Chiefs, Ravens, Lions, 49ers, Dolphins. You could throw the Bills in there. I don't know about the Bengals, but I would still consider them as one of those teams. Jacksonville, I'm struggling with. Based on their record, they should be, but man, it's hard for me to not again, we were just talking about C.J. Stroud. I just feel like the Texans are a better team.
Yeah.
Now, if I had to rank these teams, because in my last week, I think I ranked I had it Eagles, Chiefs, Ravens, Bengals, 49ers, because the Bengals like dominated the 49ers the week before. If I had to change that now, it would be Eagles. Man, am I gonna really crush the Ravens for that last game? It's probably gonna be Eagles, Chiefs, 49ers, Ravens, Lions. And the Dolphins like right there on the cusp. Cowboys are somewhere behind them, Bills are somewhere behind them, but those would be my guys. Dolphins, maybe the Dolphins would be kind of one of those next teams in. That's kind of what I think. What do you think?
The 49ers looked very impressive. And I rank them very highly because the game they struggled, they were missing so many pieces. When you look at the game they just put together and the fact that they just acquired Chase Young, I probably put them, I want to say first, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, that defense, Chase being added to it, and they were so dominant beforehand. They went to the same school, saying like him and
Yep, they were on the same defensive line. Yep. They
brought that to the professional level. Purdy today has shown that I'm actually pretty decent. You know, I know the plays. He can execute well when he has to, and he has weapons at every level. You know, Deebo Samuel had been hurt. He's come back. He's healthier. He's got Brandon Ayuk. You forget he has George Kittle. If he's not throwing that well, I'll just hand it off. Oh, I got Christian McCaffrey. That team has just got it all. What didn't I list? I said a defense. I listed skill positions and offense. So I put them first right now. Okay. But then I get to the Ravens. I can't turn away from the fact that the Ravens, they are doing very well. I mean, they are dominating people right now, and they have a lot of weapons as well. I like what the Ravens have going right now. Clearly, the record reflects it as well. And the other teams like Miami, I kind of felt like they were recently figured out to an extent. Everyone knows they are pretty explosive on offense. They have the speed, but I think there's some tape out there that has addressed that. Miami has a chance to really move up a lot in the rankings based on how they come out of the bye. I got to look at who they're playing next, but considering the way they entered the bye, they seemed a bit more figured out than previously. They didn't leave the bye like they started the season. I'll go ahead and say that.
Yep.
The other team you had mentioned, Cincy, today they were hurt, and they started the season with Burrow on that bum leg. I think full strength, the Burrow to Chase, that's just such a powerful connection. That team, I still, you were fairly ranked on them. You know, they did lose to Houston today. So, and I
had them outside of my top 5, though.
Okay, you said, Lions, were they on the top 5?
So last week the Bengals were in my top 5. I'm probably gonna kick them out this week. Right now, if I had to say my top 5 right now, pick it, lock it in, and this won't be it. But let's just say I'm gonna be going Eagles, Chiefs, Niners, Ravens, Lions.
I probably put the Cowboys and Eagles also to throw in mine in there. The Cowboys right now, dog, like CeeDee Lamb.
Who they play?
A bit ridiculous.
Who'd they play?
Oh, well, yeah. True.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like that, like they lost to Philly. They didn't get dominated. They lost to Philly. They got that ass beat by the 49ers. They got that ass beat by Josh Dobbs and the Cardinals. Yeah. There's some bad losses in there.
The recency bias that I'm having reflected on that team, it's just like they're executing on offense. The way that Dak is throwing the ball, I didn't think he could whip it like this. Yeah. And he's looking at Ferguson, getting him involved, getting Keaton that. What?
I'm sorry, I don't know. I just thought about that Mason Camp show. He can whip it like this.
I'm sitting there trying to have an analytical talk. And I'm like, what the fuck? Oh, pause. I didn't foresee.
My immaturity. My bad. Go ahead, bro.
I forgot who the quarterback I'm talking about.
You talking about Dak whipping it like this. You're talking about Dak whipping it around. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's right. Dak throwing the football.
Yes.
CeeDee Lamb He got Cooks involved today. He's getting Ferguson in the red zone. And
Cooks
Pollard
went crazy, man.
Huh?
Cooks went crazy. He went for 170.
No one saw that coming because of
Not
the way
all.
he's been playing so far this year. I think they might have figured something out for the Cowboys as far as their air attack, but they still have Pollard to somehow eventually get it going. They could still work him in, and their defense, everyone knows, when they're hitting on all cylinders, they're nice. So I think the Cowboys, I can't forget about them. And the Eagles, they even admit they haven't played Eagle football just yet because this is their bye week. I think the Thursday night game, Kelsey, the center, he was in the booth during the Thursday night game. He even admitted when they asked him, he's like, I don't think we're playing our best football just yet. And they have a very good record. So you got to keep that in check. Yep. So those are definitely the top teams, the ones that we mentioned. Speaking of Jacksonville, they were my dark horse team going into the season. But today's game, I was like, damn, coming out of a bye week, like you said, that's a major, major loss. That's like they're just taking an uppercut to what people anticipated, for sure.
Yep. And I think it's like, I definitely don't want to overreact to that. They literally had won 5 games in a row prior to today. And I think like when all teams are clicking on all cylinders, the 49ers are a much better team, not even just a better team. They are a much better team than Jacksonville. It just wasn't sure if like the 49ers were going to continue like click on all cylinders because they were on a 3-game losing streak going into the bye. And so I don't want to overreact to Jacksonville, but I think like we've continued to discuss, I think part of the Jacksonville like downturn is also like in our side eye, we do see the Texans over here like putting in work. And that's like, I think most people in their head, even though they're not going to say it, most people are probably thinking the Texans are going to win the division, even though their records are not reflecting it right now. Like, do you think that?
I think you have to think that, to be honest, because for how many weeks have I seen what C.J. Stroud did, even from a fantasy perspective? You might have seen him on the waiver wire and like, that was a fluke. That was a fluke. You can't have 5 weeks in a row of fluke. You know what I'm saying? At some point, you got to go ahead and give somebody their credit. This person even continued it today. Even today, I had the bias to say they're going against Burrow and them boys. I don't know, man. That's a major test. But if he walks out with the W here, I would think probably the defense overplayed. They did very well. No, the man is nice.
He's nice, bro. He is nice.
So it definitely changes things. Like they adding pressure. That's pressure.
All right. So like I'm gonna force you to number them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The teams.
Yep.
Numero 1. I'm gonna go with the 49ers. Number 1.
All right, let's go. 49ers number 1.
Number 2. Ravens. Number 2, I want to say Ravens. I'm saying Ravens. 3.
After loss 2 today?
Yeah. I mean, I saw that game. I was watching that game. It's just the feeling I have. The Eagles.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
This is your list. All right. So that's 2. So 49ers, Ravens. You said who?
Team, I'm going to go with 49ers, Ravens, Eagles.
Okay.
4th. Chiefs. I think that's a team that I was forgetting, to be honest with you. I was like, I know this is obvious when I'm forgetting. Chiefs. But the 5th one here, I want to say Lions, man. Like,
okay.
I want to say the Lions. I got 49ers, Ravens, Eagles, Chiefs, Lions.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a list. That's the top 5. All right. We're going to see how that holds up over the next few weeks. All right. Let's get into one more topic before we head out of here. Okay. Is there anything like burning on your mind? I mean, we haven't talked about J.Dobbs at all in that offense at all, for real. Jaimes, if he was the starting quarterback. I don't want to talk about Pittsburgh at all. We talked about Gibbs and Montgomery already.
We did.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like the J.Dobbs thing, I think we should probably talk about it. So, I mean, he did like go crazy. And the thing that I was worried about with him is when you look at his like accuracy, like downfield numbers, he's really like awful. This season, he's been really bad, but he's just playing above his head now. Or maybe I should stop saying he's playing above his head. Maybe he's just playing better with better weapons and a better scheme. And so I do think, especially from a fantasy standpoint, it's really encouraging, especially for those people who've been holding on to J.Gibbs or just traded for J.Gibbs, on the fact that they like got another win. I think this again just continues to build the case for late. They're actually going to try to make the playoffs. They're actually going to try to challenge for this division, at the very least, the wild card in this division, which they can easily get. And in fantasy, he has such a safe floor because of that rushing, man. And he's very skilled at it. Like, he is incredibly elusive. Like, he on that touchdown, I don't know what happened where he got like touched by the defender. He kind of went this way. The whole defense went that way, and he just went the other way, and it was a clear path. Like, he may have like some elite running vision. Like, I don't think he's the fastest dude in the world, but he fully understands how to maneuver that scramble drill to get something down the field.
I have to agree, because the only thing I didn't like about him was I was like, damn, this man runs so daggone well. He don't ever throw the ball to Addison like talking about. His scramble ability comes way off the page when you think about how Kirk Cousins would hang in that pocket and just move around and just dart that daggone ball. I'm looking at the game today. I said Addison didn't really get peppered in the end zone because Dobbs in here juking the whole damn defense running into the end zone. I'm like, yo, this is the quarterback. As a defender, you would love to get an open hit on the QB. So this dude just shifty like that, and no one can really get a line of sight on him. He's actually a lot nicer at it than what you really take from when you look at it. I think you're spot on with that. His rushing ability, I think because he's so smart and everything, he doesn't carry himself or lean on it. He's not a showboat about it. He's nice with the running. He's
very good at that. And like you could just tell he understands angles. I mean, he's a mechanical engineer, aerospace engineer.
Yeah, they talked about that in the game. He's Passtronaut. I mean, he ain't passing that ball to Addison. He can go ahead and make him miss me with that one. He run too damn much. I give him that.
He passed it to Hawkinson, though. I had Hawkinson in one league. Hawk went crazy in that league. Did he go for like 30?
Hawk came in there. He was hurt, right? This was a game.
Yeah, he came in hurt. He looked like he was bent over hurt another time. He got 31 points in PPR, though, today.
Yeah, Hawkinson is very good. I was kind of surprised when Detroit let him go, but now you see, I guess they knew they were going to acquire Laporta. So Minnesota was definitely good to get Hawkinson. These tight ends, they're coming up. And that goes back to McBride. I really think McBride might be the future, man. The way that guy was involved and just coming out of nowhere. Like, who am I talking about? Don't nobody watching here know Trey McBride like that. He brand new. This dude is the future.
I mean, like, this honestly, it's been a very good year for tight ends, man. Like, really, like, if you didn't have one of the top tight ends, normally that would kill you. And honestly, if you had like the Wallers and Pitts, it kind of has killed you, but you've been able to stream really well. Like, I was telling so many people at the end of your draft Sam Laporta and Greg Dulcich, which that hasn't worked out. But if you got Sam Laporta, that would have worked out. Like, basically, unless you're getting Andrews or Kelsey, double up on two dudes late.
Pause.
Okay.
I do hear what you're saying, though. This year coming in the tight end pause, you really anticipated it being super lame. Like, but actually, you were very well surprised.
Coming in the tight end. Oh shit! We're too punchy now. All right. We should end this. I can't. He's coming in the tight ends, man. Whoa! Oh, I think the Raiders may win this one.
Say what?
I think the Raiders got a pick kind of late. I think they may win the game.
I see, man, sticking his tongue out into the camera. They did something.
Yeah. All right, bro. This is fun again. Yeah, we're gonna be doing this, everyone, guys. We're gonna be doing this every week on Sunday. We'll see how it goes. Like, probably through the playoffs and stuff. We'll see what after, like, in the offseason, what the schedule is gonna be. But definitely during these games, we want to like just download our thoughts, be stupid, talk about our stuff, like talk about our leagues, talk about where we got boned. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna boast real quick. crushed Thursday night slate. I crushed the Thursday night slate. I told everybody not to start Chuba Hubbard. Killed that.
Oh, yeah.
I told people to start Foreman. I said DJ Moore's going to get over 55.5 yards. Crushed that. Thielen getting under 67.5 yards. Crushed that. Eddie Pinheiro getting over 5.5 kicking yards. I killed that. So if you guys want to know those types of player props, like make sure you guys give me a follow, Fantasy Football Strategist on TikTok. I try to go live basically every day, either through that account or through the playerprofiler.com account, or both on most weekdays. So make sure you guys give us a follow. We're going to be putting out content. We're going to be putting out even some of the clips on the show on that account. And also make sure you give Eric a follow as well. He's at AZZ TDs on TikTok. So make sure you give him a follow. He just joined TikTok, so we're trying to get his numbers up, guys, okay? But yeah, thank you guys so much for hopping on the show. Let us know if you want to. You could put a comment into this video. Like if there's topics you want us to talk about next week, let us know. And yeah, thanks a lot for hopping on the show. We'll see you later.
Appreciate it.
Peace out.